What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some routes that all wide receivers need to learn. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and would like to get faster, check out that very first link in the description below. You could get access to 70+ speed and agility drills, all mapped out with you guys with the exact sets and reps to do. And we place each specific video into categories so it's easy for you guys to follow the information and track your progress. Also, fellas, you will get access to speed and agility on-field workout plans, gym workout plans, 40-yard dash technique, the work. So if you guys want some more information on how you can improve your speed, check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get started with this video. So now, first route that we were going to be going over today is something called a comeback and go route. So this is a great double move that wide receivers can add to their tool belt that can get them a lot of separation. So let's play this full speed. This is a perfect example of a comeback and go from this wide receiver, gets this DB to bite on the comeback and then is able to get separation over the top. So honestly, it's pretty much like just any regular, double move that involves dropping your hips, right? It's like a hitch and go. It's, like maybe a curl and go, whatever it is. But instead, this is a comeback and go. So when you break down, especially on any double move route, whether that's like a sluggo or a post corner, whatever it is, you have to make the first route of the double move look the exact same as to how you would run the actual route versus that specific coverage. So he's got inside shade press. He takes an outside release and he drops into this break with his inside foot. Now, dropping on the inside foot isn't like a necessary evil. It's not like you have to always drop on the inside foot when you're running a comeback, but it sure makes the comeback and go easier. And that is because the second step after you drop your hips can really sell this movement. Because when you have a DB who's in press coverage man-to-man, where are his eyes supposed to be? His eyes are supposed to be keyed in on our hips. So a comeback and go, you sell by dropping your hips, but also flipping your hips for a split second. So when you drop your hips and you get low, that puts the brakes on for you, obviously, and that alerts the DB that a break is coming. He's thinking, okay, he's dropping on a comeback. I'm going to try to drive on this thing. Now, the mistake a lot of guys will make on a comeback is they do not pivot the step after they drop their hips. And that does not actually sell the comeback, because the comeback and go route is obviously built off of you running a comeback over and over again. Whether it's like, just a straight up 15 back to 12, quarterbacks in the pocket, maybe it's a rollout play, maybe it's off a play action, whatever it is. But we have to make it look the same. So we have to turn my hips out of the break. So when you guys snap into the break, the second step has to pivot, third step has to hook. So now your hips are starting to go down the 45-degree angle. You plant off of that third step, then you throw a jab with the fourth step. And that's the step that accelerates you back upfield. So it's snap on the inside foot, pivot off the second, hook the third, jab with the fourth, which is this one right here. And again, those 4 steps, if you can turn your hips down that 45-degree angle, that is what's going to get that DB to bite. Now, on a route like a comeback and go or a stop and go, hitch and go, after you get that separation, guys, we want to keep separation. And how we do that is by keeping my freaking head down and accelerating for at least a few steps before I start to look back for the ball. Guys, when a DB gets beat like that, he knows the second you turn upfield, he's like, oh shit, I got beat. I got to make sure I do everything possible to get back over the top and give myself a chance to make a play. And if you keep your head down and you're focused on gaining separation from him and keeping separation from him and getting to the spot the quarterback is going to put it to, he will not be able to recover. Guys, the quarterback is throwing it to a spot on a double move. He's not throwing it to us. I promise you that. Anytime it's a deep route downfield where the quarterback's got to put some air on it, unless you are wide open, he is throwing it to a spot. Our job is to get to the spot. So don't get separation on a double move and look back for the ball right away. The ball's not coming to you right away. He's putting it to a spot and he's expecting you to get to that spot. So we get that separation. You flip your hips out of the break to sell it. Let's keep my head down and go get to the spot. Let's play this again, full speed one more time. This is a perfect example of that comeback and go route here from this wide receiver. Great job flipping his hips, getting the DB to bite, and then winning over the top. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking that's a longer developing route, and it is. You would have to use it in the right type of situation. Play action, sprint out. Maybe it's a max protection situation where maybe we got 2 wide receivers on the outside and we have 2 tight ends. Quarterback's got, 7 or 8 guys blocking for him. Guys, like that's when you would want to use it, okay? All right, so now, next route we're going to be discussing is something called a jerk route, okay? So jerk route, J-E-R-K. What route is that? And this honestly builds off of a whip route, okay? So I'm sure everybody knows what a whip route is. That's where you break to a slant, you try to get the DB to crash on the slant, and then you whip back out out to the outside. So this is a great route to use if you run a lot of whip routes in your offense. Hopefully your coach would call this route, or maybe, you could actually work this even if your coach doesn't necessarily call it, if you have like an option route, right? So like a lot of slot wide receivers on certain plays, they'll have like option routes, right? Like where you could break to the inside or you could break to the outside. So this is a great move to use if you have like a one-on-one situation with a linebacker over the top and you're trying to make him miss. This is almost like learning like a juke, if you will. So let's play this full speed and then we'll break it down. So this wide receiver slips under, puts the brakes on, gives a jab outside, and then is able to get separation on this route. So again, it looks a lot like a whip route. Much like that come back and go route, you have to make the first part of this move look the exact same, right? So if I have inside shade man-to-man coverage like this, I got to make sure that I attack the outside. My goal is to get this DB to maybe think I'm going fade, and then I'm slipping under like I'm running a slant, right? So we're running a slant, running full speed. We're trying to get this DB to commit. I'm running in full stride. My hips, my shoulders, everything's committed to the slant, and then I put the brakes on. And when you put the brakes on like this, we are trying to sell the whip route. We're trying to get this DB to overcommit, think that he got beat on just this original double move. Now, when we break, it is very, very important that, again, we sell this route with my hips and my shoulders, because that is where a DB is supposed to be watching. Much like the comeback and go, like if you're running this comeback and go and you break to the comeback, you got to get your hips and your shoulders flipped down on that 45-degree angle to sell it, right? So same thing on this jerk route. You got to get your hips and you got to get your shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage like you would on a whip route. So when you throw that jab and you put the brakes on and you give that little fake with the upper body, it actually looks like the whip, and that's what can get this DB to overcommit and to bite on it. So fellas, on this jerk route, on a whip route, you have to get those hips and shoulders committed. You got to make sure we were running fast, and we got to put the brakes on a dime. So let's play this again, full speed one more time. Great job by this receiver setting up this DB outside, breaking inside, then giving that jab to win on this route. Okay, so now this is going to be a release that we're going to be talking about on a fade route. Now, this is a release that is from Josiah Trader. He's 5-star wide receiver committed to, I want to say Miami, but he's a very, very talented receiver. Some of his film is absolutely insane, and this is a clip that kind of went a little bit viral from him running a fade route versus this inside shade press coverage at a camp. I kind of just want to talk about this release because this is a unique release that I think some of you guys could try to add to your tool belt. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it, but it's very, very unique and can really help you get some explosion with your feet off the line. So let's watch what he does here. So he does this kind of like crossover, almost like walk release. Am I the biggest fan of the tempo of that release? Probably not. I would like that his tempo on the release could be a little bit faster, but I think that this is a great concept of a release because it sets him up for a really, really explosive crossover fake to the inside. So let me explain. So the first step of this release, you would take your back foot, so your right foot, and you would cross over the front foot, right? Now, again, this is a pretty compromising position, if I'm being honest with you, because your feet are crossed, you're against press, but again, this is not like a press coverage situation where he's like right up on the line, not giving us any room to breathe. If we thought that this DB was going to jam and get hands on me, I don't recommend doing this release. But if he's off and we maybe have like a yard, a half a yard, or whatever the situation is, I like this release, and here's why. When you cross over like this, you see where his feet are. His feet are inside of his shoulder frame, so that's going to allow him to have more of an explosive cut and step a little bit further with his crossover release, right? So you see how he goes here. He crosses over, he takes this plant step, both of his feet are inside of his frame, and then he takes this crossover step, and you see how far he steps to the inside, his hips, his shoulders. It allows him to sell it. That's why I like this crossover release, or this step over release. Now, again, a lot of people are going to hate on this release and say that, that you can't use that, your feet are crossed over, that's not going to make you more explosive. Just try it out. Just trust me. Like a release that I've done a lot and posted a lot about is one that Cooper Kupp did in the Super Bowl a couple years back, where he took this back foot and went the other way. So instead of stepping over the top, he stepped behind. So he took this right foot that's back, he stepped behind his left foot, then he stepped behind his left foot, then he stepped with the left again. So he went right behind, plant with the left foot, then he hit a crossover move, and that was that like goal line fade that he caught against the Bengals. This is kind of the same thing, just going the opposite way. He crosses over the top. Now, the whole reason he's trying to do that is to attack the DB's leverage, right? DB's lined up inside shade, and we have to run a fade route. So we're not just going to try to take off and go run to the fade route. This DB's going to get hands on me, force me to the sideline. We want to try to attack him to the inside. We want to make him think that we're running a slant. And to make him think that we're running a slant, we actually have to step with my left foot outside of his frame. I got to step outside of his frame to make him think I'm trying to cross his face, and that's what can get me space. And that crossover step puts his feet in an explosive balanced position that will allow him to step further. Like, think of it like this. Let's say his feet were really wide. Let's say he took this like first step off the ball and his feet got really wide. Do you think he could step as far with his inside fake? No, because his feet are too wide. But his feet are inside his frame. He could push off of a foot and really step and really sell this move. So that's why he does this. Let's play this again full speed one more time. So that's a great release that you guys can learn. I recommend just trying it out. Just see how you feel. You don't have to use that all the time, but I recommend giving it a chance just to feel that explosion from having those feet inside your frame. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like to get faster and want 70+ speed and agility drills, all broken down with sets and reps and placed into categories for you guys, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.